What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the King's Court podcast, presented to you by RateCrushers.com. I'm your host, Vince Miracle. Welcome back to the show, guys. It's been, I think, 9 days since the last show. It's been a crazy last 14 days for me. Since even doing the last few shows, a lot of opportunities have started to come up, and more news on that soon. Excited to talk about what's coming soon with everybody and what could be down the road, but that is for another show, for another day, because today we finally get to see the Sacramento Kings' upcoming schedule for the 2022-23 season. And I know I had it planned to where I was gonna rank the teams in the Western Conference and how the Kings are going to stack up against them. But the NBA said, no, Vince, that's not for this upcoming show. No. Here's the schedule for the upcoming season, and I want you to break it down. So this entire episode, all we are doing is going over the first 25 games of the season to determine which direction the Sacramento Kings are going in. As I spoke about it on the last show, the first 25 games of this season is going to define a lot about the direction in which this team is going. I think in this first 25 games of this season, you can find out whether or not the Sacramento Kings have something that is playoff bound, that they have something that they know what they're building around. And the big part of these first 25 games is to find out if De'Aaron Fox is that cornerstone player. I think that's the biggest one of it all. I'm still up in the air about it. And look, I'll be honest. Today's show, I had the schedule. I knew exactly what I was going to do, but I didn't want to cheat you guys. We're going to go over each game. I'm going to go mentally through each one of these games. I have a win-loss record here. I'm going to tally each one up. By the end of these 25 games, I'm going to have a record for you. And I want you guys to put it down in the comment section below and let me know if you're worried, if you're concerned, anything like that about the upcoming season after seeing what we come up with. And you guys tell me, like, we're going to make each game a conversation. You guys can join in on the chat. Maybe I'll throw the eCam up there. See if we can have a conversation with each other today. But if you haven't done so already, and this is your first time joining us here on the King's Court, again, presented to you by RateCrushers.com. If you guys are looking for your insurance, be sure to go to the brokers over at RateCrushers.com, as they're going to have you guys covered in terms of that. But if you haven't done so already, please do me a huge favor and hit that thumbs up button, man. That helps us grow. It helps us get circulated around YouTube and everything like that. So without you guys hitting that thumbs up button, that share button, we can't continue to grow. So please continue to do that. And of course, go to RateCrushers.com for all those guys. So let's go ahead and jump on in. And shout out to you, Skip, for always being that first one in the chat. Breaking news, guys. Skip, first one in the chat, my man. Oh, shoot. Vince going to have Kings under 500. Oh, no. All right, well, let's find out. Let us find out, as we're going to just go ahead and jump on in to the season. The season tips off on October 19th in Sacramento against the Portland Trailblazers. The Portland Trailblazers made a lot of moves this offseason, and just in terms of how they restructured their roster, right? They're going to get Damian Lillard back. Anthony Simons got a big deal. They got Josh Hart. They got Jeremy Grant. They brought back Yusuf Nurkic. Now, for me personally, and again, I was unable to do this show and make it to the way I wanted it to be, where I was going to have a picture up and go back and forth. I'm still going to do it, but again, I think it's better if we just do it this way to see where we are. So the Kings get to open up the season against the Portland Trailblazers. By the way, Kings, I participated in that sweepstakes. I chose the Blazers as the team. What's going on? I'll tell you guys this too. If I get free tickets, I don't need them. I'm giving them away on this show. So tell the Kings to send them my way, because I got this guess right. But Portland Trailblazers up first. Again, a lot of big moves they made. I think it's a defining year as well for Damian Lillard, just in terms of what he's going to want to do for the remainder of his career. Is he going to stay a Blazer for the remainder of his career? I think that's big. And he's known as the Kings killer, man. three after three. I can just see a lot of this being an up and down game. But look, it's a home opener. I believe that the Kings are going to be. I think the Kings are definitely going to be a team that wants to play fast, which could play to the playstyle of the Blazers. I think Josh Hart is a very underrated player in terms of just who he is as a rebounder, defender, and honestly, he developed himself into a little bit of a scorer at times for the Pelicans. So I think this is a very important matchup for the Kings just to test themselves in a real game against this type of caliber team where the Blazers is going to be just like the Kings, battling for a play-in spot, a playoff spot. And I'm going to have the Kings taking this game home. So that goes one win for the Kings already through game number 1. Game 2, 3 days later. Getting sore. They throw the cobwebs off. They get a win at home in Golden 1. They get to stay home, but now they face a real test. They're going up against the Los Angeles Clippers on October 22nd. And man, this team continues to get stacked. Robert Covington, Norman Powell, one of the bigger additions here, right? They still get to keep Marcus Morris, but then they bring in a guy like John Wall, a veteran. What does he have left? Is he that same John Wall? Is he just a piece of the last John Wall that we got to see? John Wall is a good basketball player. I believe there's still a lot of tread left on them tires. I think there's going to be a battle for that starting point guard spot, and regardless, he's going to be able to still be a blur. He's going to be able to still find the open man, and if he's able to score in ways that you're able to see on YouTube, again, he's a YouTube scorer right now, but if he's able to score in those ways, look out, because this Clippers team is stacked. And I'll be 100% honest with you. I have already put money down on the Clippers to be my dark horse to make it to the Western Conference Finals this year. I believe it was like a plus 650 to do that, and I've already made my bet. So with that being said, I have the Kings losing this game. I just don't see their ability to not only, I mean, I think Zubac is a good matchup against Sabonis. That's where the Kings will obviously be the favorite, but every other position, Kawhi guarding Harrison Barnes, Paul George guarding Harrison Barnes, Kawhi on Keegan. There's just no other matchup where I say the Kings are so much better in terms of where they are. Not even at point guard. I mean, to have a 1-2 punch guarding De'Aaron Fox, I just don't see where they're able to just say the Kings have the advantage. Now, look, there is the counter where this Clippers team, they haven't really got to play together much, right? I mean, Kawhi was out. Paul George was in and out of the lineup. They still have all of these new additions. They still need to play together. But those people that say that mindset and say, hey, you could catch them while they're still warming up and they're still trying to figure each other out. What do you think the Kings are doing? The Kings are doing that in the same light. They have so many new players. The entire starting five, the only thing that's going to stay the same is Barnes and Fox. Because Sabonis only played 14 games with the Kings last season. And I believe 3 of those were without Fox. So the Kings are doing the same exact thing. So I really don't like to look at it in that way. So I'm looking talent for talent. I got the Kings taking their first real loss. And by real loss, I think this game is over by 15 points or more. I just don't see how the Kings can beat the Clippers heads up. We move on to game 3. Again, big test. Look, the NBA said, hey, you made a better team. We're going to give you a stacked start to the season. They were not afraid to let this Kings team test themselves. And man, are they testing themselves, because they're going up against the Golden State Warriors, their first road game of the season. So all they have to do is drive across the bridge, which is a nice start for them. They could stay home, and then just drive across the bridge for a game against the Warriors. October 23rd, the reigning defending champs. Look, man, I actually believe that the Kings have a shot at this game. I actually believe that the Golden State Warriors, they know, I don't know what it is. It's just when they play against the Kings and when the Kings play against them, they tend to have these back and forth matchups leading into the fourth quarter. And I think the big thing that the Kings have that meshes up well is they have a guy in Mike Brown who was just on that bench with them to win that championship. He knows the pros and the cons to their offensive and defensive sets. So that's going to give the Kings a little bit of an advantage there, right? The Kings are going to want to play fast. They finally added shooters to try to keep up, I should say, with the shooting of a Steph and a Clay and a Jordan Poole. And we've seen Jordan Poole get hot, right, for sure, but we've also seen him get cold. I can say Jordan Poole's shooting, just shooting, not talent, just shooting, is just like Kevin Huerter. There's no one on the Kings that's going to be like a Steph or a Clay. But if you want to say anybody is like anybody, it's going to be Jordan Poole is just like Kevin Huerter. You have a 1-2 punch. You can say Huerter or Monk is Jordan Poole. So you have that matchup there. I think speed-wise they're there. I don't know if anybody on the Warriors, if you put Steph or Clay, I mean, Fox should be able to beat him pick and roll and get to the basket as many times as he wants. Sabonis is going to have the advantage down low every single time. I don't care how strong and good of a defender Draymond Green is. I mean, obviously he's going to be a pest, but the advantage goes to Sabonis in those matchups 100%. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. With that all being said, I do still have the Kings losing this game. So starting off in the first 3 games of the season, the Kings are 1-2 so far. You guys let me know. Comment to me throughout these first 3 games. Do you disagree? Do you think the Kings get these wins? You guys let me know in the comment section below. Kings go back across the bridge. They come back home against the Grizzlies on October 27th. Big matchup. Now, this is a team that I think the Kings will have. This is what, game 4 of the season. So you've had tough playoff caliber. These are title contenders that you're getting in your first 3 games, right? Warriors, Clippers, not really the Blazers, but you mean Warriors, Clippers, and then you have the Blazers that are battling there with you. But this next team, the Grizzlies, man, they were the NBA darlings last year. John Morant is so much fun to watch. I mean, this is where you're going to see it all because the advantage down low that Sabonis has, I think, is better than against Steven Adams, against Jaren Jackson. There's a win there. Between John Morant and De'Aaron Fox, now here, everyone's going to automatically say, John Morant's obviously better. Look what John Morant can do. He's athletic. He puts on a show. He is fun to watch. And don't get it twisted. I love John Morant. He is one of the best players to watch. He's an NBA League Pass love darling, man. He is amazing. But we can't take away what De'Aaron Fox can do. De'Aaron Fox is a blur in transition. De'Aaron Fox has shown that he can take over in the fourth quarter many times in the past. To see that matchup and to see the advantage that you have just in those 2 star players. Like I would rather have Sabonis over a Jaren Jackson Jr. But at the same time, I would rather have a Ja over a Fox just right now. The other positions now, I mean, Desmond Bane was great last year for the Grizzlies. He was great. Was that a fluke? Can he be that consistent? How big is this upgrade now with Kevin Huerter, right? Harrison Barnes is going to have the advantage over whatever 3 they're going to throw out there. And then to see a Keegan Murray defending a Jaren Jackson, I think is going to be extremely interesting. Now, look, maybe this is me being someone that lives in Sacramento and really believing in what is here. But if in these 4 games they are 1-2, this is a must-win game for them heading into game 4 of the season. The Kings, I truly believe this. I think the Kings have a real strong chance of defeating this Grizzlies team. This is a coin flip for me. I really don't know which one I want to do. So I'm going to flip a coin and we're going to figure out if the Kings win or not. So this is going to be heads or tails. The Kings are going to be the heads. It landed on tails. I'm just being honest. All right. Kings are now 1-3 on the season. So 4 games in, the Kings are already on a losing record. This is rough. This is rough because it doesn't get any easier after that. You go to Miami for your first East Coast game of the year, your first East Coast road trip of the season on October 29th. It's the Sacramento Kings. They're facing off against the Miami Heat. Oh, no, I'm sorry. The Kings are at home. The Kings are home. They're playing against the Miami Heat, so they haven't hit the road just yet. They get to stay home for one more game. Look, man, this is another tough team. The Heat. Here's the thing, though. With the Heat losing out on PJ Tucker, I believe that the Heat are going to start slow. That's a big thing for me. The Heat are going to start off pretty slow. It's also just they know what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. They know that when the time comes, they know when to turn it on. Their defense is going to be there. And, you know, that's again, this is going to be one of those moments where you're going to need to see the 1-2 punch of the Ox and the Fox really show that they can not only just be consistent, but they can dominate in certain positions because Bam Adebayo is going to be a monster against the Kings. Where can they find ways to have Bam just become a jump shooter. And I think the mindset of Mike Brown's defensive schemes will help the Kings exploit some of the weaknesses of other teams. And the Heat, I believe, have shown that they have a real weakness in terms of just shooting. Like, they have the talent there, right? They have scores. They have a Victor Oladipo. They have a Tyler Hero. But their weakness still is Bam's unwillingness to shoot the three-pointer. They have the veteran mindset as well, but the Kings always seem to play well against Miami. Again, now, according to our record through the first 4 games, this is, again, another must-win. They got to start. They can't fall too far behind. Maybe, again, you guys let me know if you disagree or not, but I'm actually going to have the Kings defeating the Miami Heat at home in their first matchup against them. So that puts the Kings to the first 5 games here at 2-3 on the season. 2 wins, 3 losses. I see people are falling in to the show. Welcome to the Kings Chorus. We're reviewing the first 25 games of the season on the Kings schedule to see which direction they are going in. This show is brought to you by RateCrushers.com. Through the first 5 games, the Sacramento Kings are 2-3 according to our schedule. Let me know if you guys agree down in the comment section below, and if you haven't done so already, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. Give me this 15-second commercial break to have a sip of my coffee as we go through these next 5 games. I think I'm one of those weird ones that, like, I enjoy just talking. You know what I mean? I think that's probably why I do podcasts, is because I just enjoy talking. Let's see. We got Skip killing it in the chat, my guy. You agree about the first 3 games, but then we got to game 4, the Grizzlies. You got the Kings beating the Grizz. Look, man, it was a coin flip. I left it to the quarter. And to be honest with you, it's a cool little quarter. It's a USB thing. Look, that was heads. This is tails. I mean, it's a little thing. It's like a little quarter thing. You just flip it, and on the inside, you can put your key in it. It's pretty cool. I love it to the quarter. You can't be mad at leaving it to the quarter. It was a coin flip for me. I think all of those games are going to be entertaining next season. I want to know who the X factor is for you guys for next season as well. I mean, obviously, the Hawks and the Fox are going to have to be good, but who's your X factor? Is it Davion? I think people are starting to fall asleep on how good Davion Mitchell was last year. So, we've gone through now 5 games of the season. The Kings just played the Miami Heat at home on October 29th, currently with a record of 2-3 after defeating the Miami Heat through our first 5 games. Let's go ahead and move on to Game 6, where now the Kings are going to be traveling onto the East Coast for their first road game of the season, and they are going to be playing against the Charlotte Hornets, going up against LaMelo Ball. Look, man, I'll be honest. I think the Kings win this game outright, and I think the Kings get a very dominant win. Now, here's the reason why. Every time I watched Sabonis last season, he was killing it against the Hornets. Killing it. There is no one on that team that can slow them down. With Trez potentially not being on that team next season, Miles Bridges potentially not being on this team next season, it seems like they still have a big hole on that Hornets roster with just Mason Plumlee being their big. Look, LaMelo's going to be great. Gordon Hayward's going to be great. Cody Martin's going to get a big role. I just don't see where the Hornets have the advantage. Like, the flashiness of LaMelo is fun to watch, but how much is he better than De'Aaron Fox? Like, would you say he's better than a lot of these point guards today? Again, the flash is amazing. The things he's able to do is fun to see. It's just, where does he get you? So I have the Kings winning that game, and then through 6 games, the Kings are 3-3. Okay, now we're rolling. Now we're rolling. But now you have to face off against the Miami Heat once again on their home turf, and I don't believe that the Heat let you win 2 games on them to start the year. So the Kings take an L there. They're 3-4 to start out the year. 3-4 to start out the year. They then move to Orlando, and I think Orlando has actually a really crafty little team that they've built. I actually really like what Orlando's done. With Suggs being healthy, I want to see how Suggs turns out. Fultz being there. What are they going to be doing with Jonathan Isaac? man, I mean, bringing back Mo Bamba, Wendell Carter Jr. is I think a secretly really good player. I still don't know if they have an identity though. And if they're still fighting with the identity and the Kings are trying to prove the identity that they're building through this point of the season, 7 games, we're on game 8, they are 3-4. They have at this point shown potential according to our record. They're showing potential through this season. I think the Magic, again, it's going to be a lot of up pace. There's going to be a lot of mistakes, a lot of turnovers. Their defense, I think, is going to surprise a lot of people because they spoke very well defensively. They're very vocal defensively. They just fell apart. Is Franz going to take that next step to it? It's going to be big. I think it's going to be a really close game. When it comes down to the fourth quarter, we've seen it too many times where the Magic have just struggled. I just don't think that they're ready to take that next step next season. So many question marks still to see like who they are. So I got the Kings going back to being 500. They're now 4-4 through 8 games. 4-4 through 8 games, and yeah, I agree. Orlando got a pack of players that could be good one day, and that's a great way to put it. One day, a lot of those guys could be good. Cole Anthony could be really good. He was a spark plug for them last year. Whether you think he's just a spark plug or whatever, like that's fine, but you can't deny he was really good for them last year. I think Cole Anthony had just showed that he's willing to be in the court. Wendell Carter Jr. Is one of my favorite players on that team. Jalen Suggs has potential, even though he was statistically one of the worst players in the NBA last year. So I just don't think that they're ready. They still have a lot of things to figure out and iron out. I think there's a lot of trades for them down the road. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. After going on a 3-game road trip out east, the Kings fly back to the west, still staying on the road, however, against the Golden State Warriors. And again, could be a very close game, but I can't have the Kings beating the Warriors. I don't think that that's going to be a thing for them. Unless someone's out, there's just no way I can feel confident saying the Kings get this one. I'm just going off of pure matchup base. You guys would laugh at me if I said that the Kings were winning. So at this point, through 11 games, the Kings are 5-6. Now this is an interesting game on this next one. Kings are back home, and it's on November 9th. If the Kings follow this record and they are 4-6 through 10 games, if they're 4-5 through 10 games, and they're heading into this one on November 9th against the Cleveland Cavaliers, first off, I'll be there. I guarantee you I'll be there just because of the fact that they're fighting for 500. But I love this matchup. I love what the Cavs have done. The fact that they have just doubled down on being big. Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, and then it worked. And then to get Garland, and then to go out and get LeVert so that you didn't have to start marking it anymore. I like this team. I want to see if this team is as real as it was last year and see where they are at this point of the season as well. This will be a big game. This will be a huge game. I just don't know who's stopping Mobley. Like, that's the thing. Like, Evan Mobley and Jared Allen are going to have a matchup, right? Like, this could be a game where we don't talk about it enough, but there's a chance we see way more Richaun Holmes, Domantas Sabonis pairings on the court. And maybe that's what you have to do. Jared Allen getting guarded by Holmes and Sabonis on Evan Mobley, or vice versa, because Mobley's a little bit more, agile, able to handle the basketball and do a little bit more work. Maybe you put a Sabonis on an Allen to box him out as he's just a pure roller and rebounder, and have Richaun Holmes who has quick feet to guard that. I mean, that would be such an interesting matchup. LeVert can get hot. He's a little streaky at times. I like him as a player overall. I definitely wanted the Kings to have him circled as a player to target when we found out he was on the trading block. Tough matchup, man. Tough matchup. Excited for that game if this is the record that comes out. I'll have the Kings beating the Cavs. They're 5-5 through 10 games. Against the Lakers. Now, look, everyone wants to hate on the Lakers as the next game. They're in LA. Kings facing off against LeBron, Anthony Davis, Russell Westbrook, and them. Uh, I think the Lakers are going to be better this year. Now their roster didn't get any better. My thing is just when you have, man, my head is just getting more crooked. Let's go. Okay, when you have talent like a LeBron and an Anthony Davis, things just work out for you. Things just work out for you. I mean, they just have, if they're healthy, their team is good. And if you have a team with those two players, they are already better than what the Kings have. And you don't have to believe me, you don't have to like that, but it's the truth. LeBron James is one of the greatest of all time. Whether you like him or not, you can't deny his greatness. He's one of the greatest of all time. Anthony Davis, at his position, is one of the most talented players we have ever seen at that position. He's an amazing basketball player. Russell Westbrook, the slander that gets put on his name is crazy. And one thing that Coach Nick brought up, and it'll be interesting to see where the Lakers are at this point of the season as well. They said over the last stretch of the season, I think he said over like the last 10 games, 8 games. I'd have to rewatch that interview. Russell Westbrook was shooting 39% from 3. If they're hitting 3-pointers, what if Talen Horton-Tucker finally gets that role that he's been begging for, showcasing every time he got minutes? Austin Reeves is hitting shots. Now look, LeBron and AD are going to have to play big minutes. They're going to have to stay healthy. I think there's a good chance that the Kings and the Lakers could go 50-50 on this entire series. But in matchup number 1 and it being on the road, I got the Kings losing this one. So they are now 5-6 on the season. You guys let me know if you guys disagree. Where have I said something wrong? Again, the NBA is just trying to get the Kings into some tough matchups to start the year, man. There's not an easy stretch of games at all, I see. Not at all. Because right after the Lakers, the Kings go right back home. And guess who they face once again? The Golden State Warriors. And look, there's nothing about them that I could really think that would be the Kings beating the Warriors. So again, I have to give the Kings another L there. So there you go. For those that are just joining in on this show, thank you guys all for watching on in. Again, hit the thumbs up. If you're hitting the thumbs down button, that's fine too. Let us know where you agree, where you disagree. We're going over the first 25 games of the season to figure out where the Kings will be at that point, because through this first 25 games, I believe it will define where the Kings are going, in which direction. Because look, a lot of pressure we talked about on the last show is on the shoulders of De'Aaron Fox to prove that he's a cornerstone player, that he is a franchise changer. So to see where the Kings are and how they fall into place after the first 25 games of the season is key. You guys let me know in the comment section, like Skip is right now, about if you guys agree or disagree with any of these picks. And again, this show is brought to you by RateCrushers.com. Currently on the season, the Kings are 5-7 according to our charts through the first 12 games. And now they are heading into a very, very tough matchup against the Brooklyn Nets on November 15th. Look, man, the rumor mill about Kevin Durant is a lot. And I think the Nets are doing the right thing by keeping the value of him so high. And I think it's also right amongst the GMs in the league to kind of try to devalue what Kevin Durant is a little bit. I mean, he is in his mid-30s. He does have a contract that goes on for 4 years, and I get that. He's still Kevin Durant. He's still going to do Kevin Durant thing, but age is not on his side right now. And to give up such young players like a Jalen Brown and Marcus Smart and future assets, it doesn't make too much sense to me, because if once you start giving up those picks, I mean, and then his contract is up, now what are you? And that's where the big question marks fall. Now I get it. If you're in win now mode and all you want is a chip, that's why you do it. But I mean, there's not much out there. And honestly, on the Kevin Durant side, I mean, if you show up and your team is Ben Simmons, Kyrie Irving, yourself, Seth, Joe Harris, man, I still don't see how you don't think that is a squad, man. So I do think it gets worked out. I do believe that Kevin Durant does come and he puts together another Kevin Durant-esque season. So I have the Nets winning that game pretty handily. I mean, they're just so stacked. Now, look, Sabonis can have a great game in that one. I think that matchup wise, the Kings can't keep up with pace. But when you start looking at just Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Ben Simmons, like you can't deny just like how good that trio is in terms of talent. Let's see here. Let's see what we have in the comments. Braun won't have his legs early in the season. Sack versus Lakeup is a toss up to me. It could be. It could be. But like I'm not taking all of that truly into account. I'm not looking at the other team's schedule. What I'm looking at it is in terms of their roster against the Kings and the Kings' normal history early in the season. Now, could it be a toss up? Yeah, and I think we've seen it so many times last year where the Lakers gave up multiple 20-point leads. Actually, 2 times against the Oklahoma City Thunder, they did this, and they gave it up in the fourth quarter. Are the Warriors on a back-to-back that game? They could be. And again, the big thing for me is that the Kings have the ability, I think, to beat almost any team offensively. And at this point, we're hoping to see big defensive changes. And again, I've repeated this over the last 3 shows, which is when you listen to Mike Brown speak about his offensive flow and what he expects from guys on his team, he said it takes time to learn. So I am going to expect speed bumps, and I am going to expect the unfortunate losses at times. And I know that this is not anything other than just me projecting and me making predictions. And honestly, guys, this is me making the content for us to have these type of conversations. So I could see the Kings starting out this season with only 3 wins up to this point. It's all about how they're going to be able to finish. But I think at the same time, the pressure that they have on their shoulders to be good early on, to show that De'Aaron Fox is taking the next steps in his career, are going to be key in defining their future. So when you say that LeBron's not going to have his legs, that's not really in my head because I'm assuming that he's going to play. I'm assuming Anthony Davis is going to be healthy. I'm assuming that they're going to be ready, stacked, loaded, and they're going to need this win just as badly as the Kings are every time I look at these matchups. But yeah, I mean, actually, it's a coin flip. Are the Warriors in a back-to-back game? Maybe. I think the Kings have a good chance of beating them in pace. KD's going to stay there. Nash will be gone, but GM will still be there. What's funny though is that KD signed off on Nash. Like that's the whole thing that's weird about the Nets. So the Kings lose to the Nets on November 15th, and then you go into San Antonio. Or the Kings go home to play against the San Antonio Spurs on November 17th. Look, I think the Spurs, they traded away DeJounte Murray. We've kind of got the idea of what they're doing. They're trying to prep themselves and get ready for the upcoming future. I think this is going to be like a farewell tour for Greg Popovich. It's more of just going to be something like that where you're going to see his coaching style be, praised. Like it's going to be like a lot of I believe you're going to hear a lot of broadcasts like, man, this is a young team. They gave away DeJounte Murray, but look how strong they play. Look at their offense. They still just run such a great system. Like you're going to hear a lot of praising words for Greg Popovich, but I do have the Kings coming out victorious in this one. So the Kings now currently sitting at 6-8 on the season up to this point, the first 14 games. Next up, you have the Detroit Pistons. Look, the Pistons are fun. The Pistons are going to be entertaining. It's also going to be the first time we're going to see Keegan Murray up against Jaden Ivey. I'm excited for that game. It's in Sacramento. We'll see if I'm there. I just think the Kings dominate in this game. Like the Marvin Bagley stuff is cool. I just don't know. I'll have a soft spot for this game, I think, but I think the Kings dominate here. I think the Kings dominate here. Let's see. So after that, you have the Kings going up against the Grizzlies. This time, the Kings on the road against the Grizzlies. Now, look, if it was a coin flip last time, I'm not going to give it to them twice. So you guys can take it either or how you have it. But I will have the Kings taking this one. So you can say that I left it to the coin, but this time I have to have the Kings winning at least one of these games against the Grizzlies. Currently making them now 8-8 through the first 16 games. They then face off against the Atlanta Hawks, and This is on the road. This is on November 23rd. We're on game number 17. The Hawks are interesting, man, because I feel like in in my mind when I view the Hawks, their play style and everything, I think this is like a really good heads up matchup against against them. I mean, I get it. They have the Clint Capella John Collins thing going on. They have the they have they have the Trey Young who's just phenomenal. I want to see Bogey just healthy again, man. I miss a good healthy Bogey. They don't have, Kevin Herter anymore, so they lose out on that little bit of shooting. But I mean, they are a good team, and at the same time, they show just that they fall apart defensively. Now they're good in the fourth quarter. They're going to keep up with you offensively. I think this is another coin flip of a game. This is going to be a tough game. This is going to be a proving moment game for the Kings. So, if you guys think that they're going to win, I would love to hear it from you guys in the chat because on the road, I'm really torn here because if I say the Kings win, they're now above 500 heading out of this game. Man, I don't know. I really don't know. Can the Kings beat the Atlanta Hawks on November 23rd? The second night of a back-to-back. They're going from Memphis to Atlanta. I'm going to say no. And that's me playing on the side of caution. It's the second night of a back-to-back. Going from Memphis to Atlanta. I'm going to say the Kings get drained there. That doesn't happen, and that's pretty unfortunate because the next day you go up against Boston, who just fully reloaded this offseason, going out and getting Brogdon and having themselves such a phenomenal year last year, getting to the finals and seeing the steps that they made as a team, right? So I don't have them beating the Boston Celtics here either. So I'm gonna go the Kings losing on that one as well. Let's see. All right, cool. So I got Atlanta on this one. Kings defense just still won't be enough. And DeJounte is going to slow Fox down a bit. That's what I'm saying. Like, they have a stacked team. That's going to be a fun matchup, though. Like, what would be a fun matchup to see in that pairing, too, that I just thought about would be seeing a Fox. I mean, you could see this lineup, too. I think an interesting lineup would be a Fox and Mitchell backcourt, and you put Davion on Trey, and you're gonna have to put Fox on Murray. I mean, those two. That's essentially what you're gonna have to do. Keegan on John Collins. I mean, I think it's gonna be a fun matchup. It just sucks that it comes on the second night of a back-to-back where the Kings are in Memphis, Tennessee, and then flying all the way to Atlanta for a game that. Look, it's an earlier start time too. I mean, they're going East Coast time. I mean, so that's just an interesting game. But I'm with you, Skip. I'll have the Hawks. I'm being a little cautious here. I'll have the Hawks taking that one. And again, the Kings are going to lose to the Celtics here. I don't even really think that game is going to be too much fun to watch. I think the Celtics just know what they are. They have such a stacked team everywhere. I just don't see that one. But then you fly back home and you face off against the Phoenix Suns. Now the Phoenix Suns, they're a really good team. They got disrespected quite a bit during this offseason early on with Patrick Beverley talking that trash. But they're not going away. I mean, that trio of Booker, CP3, and Ayton, they're just going to continue to improve. And we haven't even mentioned Bridges yet. So they have a really stacked team led by one of the best leaders in the NBA and Chris Paul. I just don't believe that the Kings. I don't think the Kings are ready to compete on that level to where you're okay saying, oh no, you know what, the Kings are gonna upset them. This is the game where the Kings upset the Suns. Now maybe it's the second half of back to back for the Suns in that time, but you just can't can't do it. So I'm gonna go with the Kings taking an L there. Next up, we have the Sacramento Kings and probably everyone's favorite game of the year. Like, this is probably a packed house for this next game when they face off against the Indiana Pacers. And look at this guy, RP, coming in clutch. I already knew a game was coming up. Bozo still acting like Halliburton is a far better player than Fox currently. Embarrassing. Man, that's gonna be a game, man. I mean, you can tell there's still some sour grapes on the side of Halliburton during the summer league talks. You can tell that it's. I really just can't wait. I really just can't wait for this game to see the reaction from fans when Halliburton gets on the court and they announce it. Like, and I hope this doesn't happen. I hope this doesn't happen. But are the Kings gonna do like a thank you Halliburton video? Like they probably should have done it last year if they were going to. But like with how much sour grapes are in the air, obviously the Athletic article, everything's still being talked about. Like it's still like such a big talking point around the Kings. And when this game comes, it's gonna be the only thing that they talk about. I just don't think he's ready for like a thank you video after a year and a half with the Kings. It should be fun. And those saying that Halliburton is a far better player than Fox. I mean, I would say he's a far better facilitator. He's not a better scorer. He tends to shy away from shooting. I'm not saying he can't shoot. Halliburton can. I don't want to get into this whole entire conversation because it draws up so much negative comments later on down the road about why are you guys still talking about it. But look, it's such a big talking point out here in Sacramento. It's because people loved him. People loved Halliburton. Halliburton loved Sacramento. But you can tell. I mean, just go listen to him talk during some of the summer league games when the Kings play the Pacers. A big matchup for me too is watching Mathurin in this matchup, watching Buddy in this matchup, just seeing the minutes how they run him around. But I have the Kings winning this game against the Pacers. I really do. So there you go. The Kings are now 9-11 so far. 9-11 through the first 20 games. We have 5 games left. What did you say over here? He said, I think you might be forgetting how much better our bench is, though, Vince. No, I mean, I'm not forgetting. I think that the Kings bench is solid. The Kings bench is really good, but the Kings added players that still don't play defense. Monk is not a good defender. Herter is not a good defender. Fox hasn't proven to be a good defender yet. So, I mean, they added talent, and I think on any given night, the Kings could outscore anybody. Their pace can outrun anybody. I cannot just say, yeah, I believe because Mike Brown is here, their defense is going to be so much better that those guys' defensive problems in the past aren't going to matter. So, yeah, offensively, this team is better. They address so many needs with scoring help, ball handling help, three-point shooting. They addressed all of those needs. 100% agree. The bench is better. Defensively, they're exactly the same until proven otherwise. Let's see here. We have... I love Hallie. Awesome young player. Monty better not let them do a video of Hallie. Can do one for Buddy and just a photo for Hallie. Buddy is our franchise 3-point leader. Hey, man, make the Buddy video. Make the Buddy video. I'm fine with the Buddy video. Man, that man got so much love when he first came in and left with a shoe print on his ass, man. Fans were ready to kick him out the door. Give that man his flowers. Give that man his flowers. He was good. I liked him a lot. I liked Buddy Hield. I mean, he was becoming a little bit of a headache. The backstory around certain things was a bit, disappointing to hear. But you can't deny he is the team's 3-point leader. Do was chugging it. Do was a shooter. He was a 3-point champion with the Kings. I mean, Buddy Hield, he's a real player. He's a real shooter. Murray's gonna feast against the Pacers. Look, man, the Pacers. I feel like the Pacers are underrated in terms of a team. Like they're building nice young guys to bring back Jalen after getting him from Phoenix. I think that was solid. They gives him that big man. They still have Miles Turner there. I mean, they have a nice young team. and they're slowly building it piece by piece. And I think Matherin's going to start, so you're probably going to see a Halliburton, Duarte, Benedict Matherin. The 4 spot is where it gets truly confusing. I don't know. I like it. I like their team, but yeah, I do think that there's a good chance that you can see this Kings team just dominating in that matchup. Monk not a good defender, but makes up for it with Bucks. Kayvon not good, but not bad enough, and has like is Kayvon Kevin? Is Kayvon Kevin? he's not good, but he's not bad. He's there. He's there. Yeah, I mean the bench is good. I mean Skip. Look, Skip. The bench is good. The bench is good. I get it. The team is better. The team is better, but I'm not gonna overhype what the team is. But yes, the team is better. I 100% agree that the team is better. 100%. Let's go ahead and move on to. Hold on. Let's see here. It says Herter is a better defender and more effective playing at the 4 small forward spot. I think Monk and Davis should be the shooting guards. Barnes and Herter as small forwards. Bigger lineup with Kevin. Interesting. Now look, the thing with Kevin Herter, I get that the height thing excites a lot of people, but I watched so much Atlanta last year because they were one of my league pass teams, and mainly just due to the fact that I thought that they were really going to do a John Collins deal. But you get to see a lot of Kevin Herter, and the thing with Kevin Herter is like he has quick feet, but he gets confused on where he needs to be. And I'm sorry, I've heard other beat writers on a different Kings podcast, talking about no, he can play it, and he's not bad defensively. He holds his own. I mean, you put anyone in, like, I don't want to see Kevin Herter guarding Chris Middleton and thinking like that, he has a real chance of slowing him down. Okay, so let's not go Chris Middleton, right? Let's not go Chris Middleton. Maybe that's too good. I don't know if I want to see a Kevin Herter, because you're saying small forward, so let's think of another small forward. Do you want to see him guarding a Brandon Ingram? Do you want to see him guarding, like, I would rather see him guarding. See, I don't even know who I'd rather see him guarding, to be honest with you. I mean, like, I just don't see where he's effectively in a good spot. So, again, I like Kevin Herter, but I'm not gonna pretend like he's a really good defender. He moves his feet well. He knows how to stay in front of people. He's just not strong like that, and he has to use his IQ in every situation. Hopefully, Mike Brown brings the best out of him, but we can't pretend like he's a really good defender. Just go watch his films. Just go watch tape. I like Herter better as a bigger shooting guard than a small forward, and he's not strong at all. Exactly. You know what I mean? He's not strong at all. Exactly. So what? Well, that was the Suns game, Pacers. Okay, so now we're on December 3rd. So just to recap here, through what is it? We are looking at 9-11 through the first 20 games. 9-11 through the first 20 games. The Kings defeated the Pacers to get their 9th win of the season. Now the Kings go back to LA, but to face off against the Clippers. Now this could be a game where, it's heading into the Christmas season. They got to stay healthy for the Christmas game. Maybe they can sneak one away here, but I personally can't give the Kings a win against the stacked Clippers team. So that goes to an L for the Sacramento Kings. Let's see here. Hold on. We're still talking about Kevin Herter. Let's keep talking about Kevin Herter's defense. Kings film room showed some revealing breakdowns of Kevin on defense. Better than you would think, Vince, but still not really good. I'm not saying, like I said, he can stay in front of guys. I got to have Kings film room on. Me and him talked on Twitter not that long ago. So I got to have him on the show. I think that'd be a good combo. Film room, if you're watching, brother, you're welcome. Open invitation. Herter wouldn't even be starting in this scenario. He'd be in the second unit. Interesting. Well, then who'd you start? Davion? So you're going to go Fox, Davion, or Fox, Monk, Barnes? I have Herter starting. You don't make that trade. You don't handcuff yourself with a pick to not have him be your starter, in my opinion. That's just me. He even admitted he doesn't like the fit in his Kings intro interview on their channel. He even admitted he doesn't like the lift. like to lift in his King's intro. Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, he doesn't like no. I mean, shoot. Speaking of lifting, boy over here hitting 2 plates, baby. I've been lifting. Okay, so let's go ahead and keep on moving on because yeah, I get it. Kevin Herter, little guy. It'll be interesting to see how they use him. We will just have to see. We will just have to see. Kevin's not starting. Kevon is starting. Kevon is starting. Red Velvet is gonna get the start. So the Kings lose to the Clippers on December 3rd. The very next day, they come back home and they face off against the Chicago Bulls. Where, look, I like the Bulls. I like what they have there. I like Caruso. I really like Vucevic, even though he gets hated by so many Chicago Bulls fans. Do you ever go look at Bulls trends when the Bulls games are on? Man, he gets so much hate. Nikola Vucevic does. And I don't know. I mean, I think Vucevic is a stud. Now, I get defensively, he's bad, but to have that offensive power from a guy in Vucevic, I think he's an underrated player there in Chicago. But they have a team. Obviously, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan. Defensively, they struggle, especially down low. We saw the matchup early on when the Kings made the trade with Sabonis, and you got to see the effectiveness of the Ox and the Fox and how good. And in that time, DeRozan was scoring like almost 50 a game. So it's not like you saw the Bulls at their worst when that game was happening. But the Kings kept up, and the Kings were fighting. And at that time, you got to see a Chemezi Metu doing some work. And I think that's because you got to see a guy with energy just shooting 3-pointers. I kept leaving him open. I don't think you're going to be able to do that with a Keegan Murray, which opens up the floor for even more moves for a guy like a De'Aaron Fox to get to the basket, a Domantas Sabonis to do what he needs to do down low and score on a defenseless Nikola Vucevic if I just gave him some praise. So I actually have the Kings winning at home on the second night of a back-to-back against the Chicago Bulls, giving them their 10th win of the season. They are now sitting at 10-12 through 22 games. 3 games left through the first 25, guys. 3 games left through the first 25. Let's see where the Kings are. Will they finish above 500? How are you feeling about this grade right now through the first 22 games? Is this kind of what you're seeing? Is this what you like to hear? Are you okay with what you're hearing so far? What are your expectations if the Kings are at this point of the season? You guys let me know down in the comments section below. The Kings then go off to Milwaukee, where they will be facing off against the Milwaukee Bucks, where the Bucks are just getting better and better. And the one thing that keeps getting better about them is their star player just keeps getting better. Man, that's a lot of betters, and a better sentence will come better after that. But have you guys seen Giannis's 3-point shooting? His 3-point shooting is insane right now. Quick release, high, stroke, wet ball. He's going to be a corner 3-point shooter. Yo, give that man his praise, man. That guy is good. That man, I'm telling you this so far. If I'm telling you this stuff early on, if Giannis becomes a 3-point shooter, he is the most unstoppable player in the game. He's Shaquille O'Neal for today's NBA. He is Shaquille O'Neal for today's NBA. Just how he can get to the basket. And people forget just how good Shaquille O'Neal was with the Orlando Magic. When he was used to take up the basketball, go full court with a dribble, and just yam it on people. Now you have Giannis doing that. Now he was willing to take jumpers last year, and now he's been taking more and more jumpers. He worked on his free throw. His free throw and shooting improved last season. That was a big change. And then the willingness to shoot. Now if he has free throw shooting and 3-point shooting, my God, is he going to be gross. Then Chris Middleton is just such an underrated player. And I think that it's going to be a fun game just to see, Keegan going up against a player that he says that he has his game replicated toward with a Chris Middleton. And again, I've told many people this. I don't see Chris Middleton in his game, but I think the methodical movement in which Keegan Murray plays and playing with a high IQ, not doing too many dribbles to get to his spot and just knowing how to get there, I think that's more of what he means in terms of playing like a Chris Middleton. But again, I that's just my perspective. You guys can obviously have your own, but I do not have the Kings winning in this game. So that's going to go to an L to the Sacramento Kings. Next up, the Kings have the Cavs on the now Cleveland. A very tough game. I think if you're looking at in terms for our point of view here, right, we're trying to see where the Kings are after the first 25 games. There's 2 games left here. December 9th, you get a 2-day rest here. So these last few games, they hit 25 is solid because you have the 7th. So you have the Bulls on the 4th. You have the Bucks here on the 7th. You have the Cavs here on the 9th, which is, again, a big game, right? 2 days later, I will go and say that, again, I just don't know if the Cavs were a fluke last year because they caught so many people off guard with what they did to stay big, and they were adjusting and adjusting and adjusting. If Garland really took that next step, or people were just adjusting, and I don't want to hate on them because I found that to be such a bold move that worked out in their favor. I really like what the Kings have here in this matchup. And I think offensively they have the better firepower. And I think that the Kings can sweep this series. So I'm going to have the Kings winning this game against the Cleveland Cavaliers. That makes them, with 11 wins, 13 losses through 24 games, bringing us into the last game as we review the first 25 games of the season. I want to thank every single one of you that has joined us in this hour of the Kings Court podcast presented to you by RateCrushers.com. If you guys are watching this afterward, let me know in the comment section below what you guys agreed with, what you guys didn't agree with. How do you guys think they fared so far? Is this a reasonable record to think that they can get some here? Obviously, it can go give or take. What if they get more wins? What if they steal some wins against the Clippers? What if they steal that win against the Lakers that I gave? What if they sweep the Grizzlies in their first 2 matchups? It's not too crazy to think about stuff like that. So you guys let me know as we head into the final game here of the first 25. And it's going to be the Sacramento Kings in NYC taking on the NYK, the New York Knickerbockers, taking on the Knicks. Man, I am excited for this game. The reason why I'm excited for this game, you have a Jalen Brunson who just got paid. I want to see not only how he is at this point of the season, how he is now faring as the guy with the ball in his hands away from a Luka Doncic. Is RJ Barrett going to take that next step? Because everyone believes that RJ Barrett is a good player. Like, they really enjoy watching him play. But is he like the guy? Is he that guy? That has been a real question. So I think that's there. I think you have the Julius Randle. Is he still buying into Thibodeau? Like, is he, like, he went from being an all-star to being one of the most hated players in the league last year. Can Mitch Rob stay healthy? Is Mitch Rob going to be able to be on the floor during this game? Again, in my mind, when I'm doing this evaluation and when I give you my last pick here, he is on the floor. Is Evan Fournier going to be Evan Fournier? I mean, let's just look at the starting lineup, right? You're going to have Brunson, you're going to have Fournier, you're going to have RJ Barrett, Julius Randle, and Mitch Rob, going up against De'Aaron Fox, Kevin Huerter, Harrison Barnes, Keegan Murray, and Domantas Sabonis. Again, this could be a lineup where you do a Sabonis versus Rashawn Holmes. I can see that happening. Julius Randle has a huge advantage if they don't do that. I got the Kings winning this game. I think the Kings definitely win that game. I think that the Knicks are going to be going through some stuff. And I think that there's so much rumors going on about them trying to acquire Donovan Mitchell. By the way, if I had to say it, they're going to definitely make that trade. I think at some point before this season, Donovan Mitchell will be a Knick. I'm just going to put that out there now. I think that's actually going to happen sooner than y'all think. But that is going to be the first 25 games of the season, where the Sacramento Kings will be sitting at 12-13 according to our rundown here. 1 hour of 25 games. Look, we got a few likes. We got definitely a dislike in there. You know what? I appreciate all of it because you guys are here. You guys are watching the show. You're interacting with me. Whether you guys agree or disagree, it helps to fuel the fire for me to continue to do this show because, hey, change my perspective. Change my perspective. If we all agree, it's not that much of a conversation, is it? So I like to hear what you guys have to say. Leave your guys' comments in the comment section below whether you guys agree or disagree with how they would fare in this matchup. Do you like this record of 12-13? If the Kings are sitting at 12-13 through the first 25 games, are you thinking playoffs? Are you thinking play-in? Do you think De'Aaron Fox is a cornerstone player at this point? Obviously, the stats are going to have to tell us more. But just record-wise, I think you're leaving here. You're just under 500. You got a smile on your face. De'Aaron Fox is winning. The Kings are winning. I think Sacramento would be jumping for joy at this record. Shout out to our sponsors over at RateCrushers.com. If you guys are looking for motorcycle, car, any type of insurance you guys need, the brokers over at RateCrushers.com have you covered. Whether you guys have been in accidents before, you guys have tickets on your record, make sure you're not overpaying for that coverage, man. Make sure you're with a provider that's going to take care of you for the right price and give you everything you need. It's a free consultation. You call that number, let them know that the King's Court sent you. They're beating competitors up to 35%, guys. Go there. I use them 100%. They got me on Progressive. They helped me out quite a bit. You guys go check them out, ratecrushers.com. Let them know Vince Miracle from the King's Court sent you. Shout out to everyone in the chat. RP, Skip! Y'all are awesome. Keep that conversation going, man. You know what I mean? You guys are fun. I'm not even going to leave y'all hanging. Let's see. Disappear for a better franchise with a much worse fan base that is known for harassing and insulting players. Ben's natural position is as a Draymond-type player. 76ers turned him into a point guard. Okay. Let's see here. That's a tiny backcourt of Brunson and Mitchell. Tibbs will lose his mind at the lack of defense. His bench Kemba for the lack of defense. I think they bought out Kemba, though. I don't think Kemba's on that team anymore. Did they throw that out there? I'm not sure. Could be wrong. Let's see. Do I have anything else? Did I miss anything else, guys? I don't want to leave any of you guys hanging because I appreciate every single one of you. If you haven't done so yet, hit that thumbs up button so we can continue to grow this show. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet, man. I appreciate all the love once again. I've been your host, Vince Miracle. You guys can follow me on all social media platforms of @VMCenter. I'll be doing some writing for Cowbell Kingdom here in the coming weeks, I should say. SackKingsNation.com through Substack is coming back as well. NBA Best Bets will be right here on this channel. So if you guys want to make bets with me and see my tickets and see what I'm betting on, I'm giving them for free all next year. At least some of the picks here on the show. Obviously, if you want to know exactly what money's going on, you'll go to NBA Best Bets and subscribe there. Super cheap. It's a yearly fee. It's really cheap. But yeah, man, we're growing. Big news coming soon. Hopefully I'll be writing for another website here very soon. We will see. We're in talks. Big news, guys. Big news. Big things are coming for me. And I couldn't have done it without every single one of you. So again, thank you all for watching the show. And until next time, Sacramento Kings fans, peace.